met Peter, a man named Peter. He's a pastor. And he and his wife run the Good Samaritan Children's Home. They have 64 children, 15 of them 3 and under. And they live outside McGorry in the countryside. Very primitive conditions. A lot of dirt, a lot of open air, a lot of flies, but a lot of really precious little children. And they're just starved for somebody to just pull them up on their lap and give them a hug. And most of them do speak a little English. They speak English and Swahili, but they speak enough English that you can communicate with them, you can talk to them. They enjoyed the Mickey Mouse movie. After we left Good Samaritan, we had met a lady named Simprose. She's probably in her 50s. And she has an unusual approach to taking care of these children. In Kenya, the best thing you can do is send them to boarding school. They don't go to the public schools. And by our standards, it's pretty cheap. But by their standards, I think it's $300 or $400 a year to go. She had about 10 kids that actually lived there with her. Her place was extremely primitive. Nothing but outdoor squatty potties, no running water, just the saddest, most pitiful little beds I have seen in a very long time. I think I gave you a picture. But we are now supporting both children's homes. We're all sleeping underneath the same big sky, but because of Hopeful Hearts and because of the people that give at that dinner, there are little people underneath that same big sky that are going to school, that are eating watermelon, that are playing with tennis balls, that have a smile on their face tonight because of the generosity of a few hundred people in Louisville. And I just think that's really neat. Hello.
Cuba, this was the first time I've been to Cuba with Hopeful Hearts. It's an easy mission trip because it's only about 3 hours from Louisville. Communist country, you didn't know what you were going to run into. The people were really, really friendly.
Our partner with Hopeful Hearts is Eduardo Otero, and he has over 100 house churches in Cuba. We did a vacation Bible school story, and then we just played games and had a great time. They always seem to want to come be with us, and I think it's because we pay attention to them, because we love them, because Jesus first loved them. Do you know that He did that for us?
Sabes que Él hizo eso por nosotros. Él lo hizo.
He loves us.
Él nos ama.
He loves us enough to die for us.
Él nos ama lo suficiente que fue capaz de morir.
Sometimes I feel like there's very little hope for the adults. They just have so many restrictions now. It's hard to get the food that they want. Medicines are almost impossible to get. I think the Cuban people are hungry to know the truth, to hear the gospel. That gives them hope that they don't have because of their government.
If you just accept Him into your heart as your Savior.
In India, we work with Mid-India Christian Mission, a organization that has 93 handicapped children.
We went to share the gospel with children who were either deaf, blind, or mute, or they had skeletal issues, birth defects. They were the throwaways of India, and yet we fell in love with those kids. The director told us that no one had been to see these children for years. I don't have to be afraid to work with children with disabilities, and I was afraid. I didn't think that I could relate to them. We had no problems at all.
We keep hearing back from the director about how much they enjoyed the trip, and we spent 3-4 days with the children doing VBS, and they absolutely are waiting with just anticipation for us to return.
The entire week was very emotional for me. Just to see how little they had.
These are people that have stopped along the side of the road and picked up a little child that had no place to go. The least we can do is come alongside and make sure they don't go to bed hungry.
I love Samuel to death. To this day, we email each other at least once or twice a week. You know, that relationship has continued to grow.
You know, I watch those videos that Bob and Brad bring home from Myanmar with 28 little kids in a cattle trough being baptized, and teenagers, and, you know, and I think this is what's going to change the world. God is moving in ways that we have never seen him move before.
Tommy's doing the baptism, and all of a sudden I hear this oinking behind me. I turn around with my camera, and there's a little pig, you know, because they're out in the middle of a feeding trough. It's something I wish everybody could experience. And I think it just starts with that word, go.
For Christians, the world is getting gloriously dark. It's much different than it was 5 or 6 years ago. The hatred, the persecution, it is definitely increasing. I got a text from Pastor Lochner in Haiti. We were not able to go to Haiti this year because of the travel warnings and the unrest in the country and the political mess that's going on. And he said, the kids have not been to school in months. But they're having to walk and carry their water. They're having to walk and look for food. They're having to walk and bargain for charcoal. The children don't have enough to eat. And he wrote, begging me for help. And he said in the end of the email, he said, I don't know how we would get the help, but we so desperately need help. He said, my children are hungry.
The transition program is absolutely crucial for these children to succeed. In order for them to thrive in life, they're going to have to get the vocation, they're going to have to get the college, and it's expensive.
We're doing everything that a parent does, but the difference is we have 1,000 kids. But you know what? God said, for God so loved the world that whoever, and I feel relatively sure that whoever included that little barefoot orphan in Myanmar, that little kid on the mountain in Haiti that's walking to try to find food, the little child in the slums in Sri Lanka. I feel sure that for God so loved the world that whoever included them.